Eyes of Our Lives, April. E.J. DiMera shot in shocking twist. Chad's panic, Ava's exit, and a town full of suspects in a dramatic turn of events set to shake Salem to its core. Days of Our Lives delivers a gripping episode on Thursday, April 3rd, that centers around a shocking shooting at the DiMera mansion. A mysterious assailant steps out from the shadows and fires a bullet into E.J. DiMera, setting off a chain reaction of chaos, fear, and suspicion that will ripple through the town. As tensions escalate and loyalties are tested, the DiMera family, and all those connected to them, will be thrust into emotional turmoil. A shocking intrusion. The day begins with an unexpected and ominous interruption at the DiMera mansion. E.J., ever the composed and calculated DiMera, is caught off guard when someone walks into the living room unannounced. "What are you doing here?" he demands, not realizing that this will be the last calm moment he experiences for some time. Within seconds, a gunshot rings out, an act of violence that leaves E.J. bleeding and gasping for air. The shooter, whose identity remains unknown, vanishes just as quickly as they appeared, leaving E.J. crumpled on the floor in agony. The once proud heir to the DiMera fortune is now fighting for his life, his fate hanging in the balance. Chad finds his brother soon after the shot is fired. Chad DiMera stumbles upon the horrific scene. His blood runs cold as he sees his brother lying motionless, bleeding out. Panic consumes him as he rushes to E.J.'s side, dialing 911 with trembling fingers while desperately trying to stop the bleeding. Chad's fear is raw and immediate. He knows that every second counts. His voice cracks as he pleads for help, his shirt becoming soaked with E.J.'s blood as he presses it against the wound. Despite their differences over the years, Chad's concern is genuine. This is his brother, and he's not about to lose him without a fight. E.J. rushed to the hospital. Paramedics arrive and take over, working swiftly to stabilize E.J. before transporting him to the hospital for emergency treatment. Chad is left standing in the mansion's grand hallway, his hands stained red and his heart racing. The weight of what just happened sinks in, and for the first time in a long while, the unshakable Chad DiMera looks lost. At the hospital, Kat Green becomes a much-needed source of support. She gently encourages Chad to breathe, sit down, and try to remain calm. Her presence is comforting, and though the circumstances are tragic, the emotional proximity between them begins to grow. Kat sees a vulnerable side of Chad, a man overwhelmed with fear and guilt, and offers her shoulder for him to lean on. This moment of connection may mark the beginning of something deeper. As Kat reassures him that he did everything he could, Chad begins to rely on her in ways he hadn't expected. Ava's sudden exit raises eyebrows. Meanwhile, in another part of town, Ava Vitali makes a move that raises serious red flags. She's seen throwing away a gun that belonged to Melinda Trask before fleeing Salem altogether. This hasty departure marks Ava's final appearance, for now, and her timing couldn't be more suspicious. Rumors swirl about whether Ava might have arrived at the DiMera mansion with the intent to harm E.J. herself. Perhaps she had every intention of pulling the trigger, only to discover that someone else beat her to it. If she walked in on the aftermath of the shooting, panic could have driven her to flee the scene to avoid being implicated. Her decision to dispose of the weapon and leave town could either be an admission of guilt or a desperate attempt to avoid being framed. Whatever her motives, Ava's exit leaves more questions than answers, and Salem won't forget how fast she vanished. Chanel's worries grow as news of the shooting begins to spread. Chanel Dupree DiMera finds herself gripped by anxiety. Johnny, her husband, is suddenly unreachable. The timing couldn't be worse, and Chanel starts to wonder if Johnny's absence has something to do with what happened to his father. Could Johnny have been pushed too far? Could he have taken matters into his own hands? The idea is horrifying to Chanel, but she can't shake the feeling that something is terribly wrong. She'll stop at nothing to find Johnny and get to the truth, even if it means confronting some uncomfortable possibilities about the man she loves. A town full of suspects' suspicion doesn't stop with Johnny. Roman Brady takes a close look at the gun stored in the lockbox behind the bar. The weapon had been in Johnny's hands earlier, and though he didn't use it at the time, the question now looms: did Johnny shoot E.J. and then put the gun back? Roman's instincts are sharp, and he's seen enough over the years to know when something doesn't add up. He'll keep a close eye on that gun and anyone connected to it. Adding even more intrigue to the unfolding mystery, Kate Roberts Brady is seen handling a weapon herself. The image of Kate holding a gun sends a chill through the community. Was she involved? Is she trying to protect someone, or is she playing a more dangerous game? Kate will also receive updates about Roman, and her cryptic remarks suggest she might know more than she's letting on. She hints ominously that EJ may no longer be a threat, raising the stakes even further. Could Kate be orchestrating something from behind the scenes? Salem on edge as the DiMera mansion becomes the center of a criminal investigation. Alliances will be tested and secrets will come to light. The town of Salem, already no stranger to chaos, finds itself once again engulfed in a whirlwind of lies, accusations, and broken trust. The attempt on EJ's life is only the beginning. The shooter remains at large, and the suspect list is growing by the hour. With so many people harboring grudges against EJ, the truth won't come easily. But one thing is clear. No one in Salem is safe, and the DiMera family will never be the same. Stay tuned as Days of Our Lives continues to unravel this high-stakes mystery. The answers are coming, but so are more twists, betrayals, and heartbreaks. Meanwhile, a reckoning in Salem. Ava's vow for justice and Roman's confession stir dangerous emotions in the latest emotionally charged episode of Days of Our Lives. Wednesday's events unfolded with powerful undercurrents of pain, betrayal, and brewing revenge. Salem remains haunted by the consequences of EJ DiMera's actions, and for some, the wounds are still too fresh to fade. Ava, once a woman driven by pain and desperation, now sits quietly in her room above the bar, smiling with a tablet in hand. But beneath her calm exterior lies a storm ready to erupt, and it has everything to do with justice. Ava's smoldering fury. In a private moment, Ava was seen intently reading an article from The Spectator, an expose detailing EJ DiMera's latest misdeeds and his ever-growing list of enemies. With piercing focus, she let her fingers glide over the tablet screen, the flickering light reflecting in her eyes. Her voice broke the silence, not directed at anyone in particular, but with enough venom to chill the air. "He's hurt everyone in this town," Ava murmured to herself. "But you reap what you sow." The words lingered with ominous weight. She wasn't just venting frustration, she was formulating something more dangerous. Ava isn't the kind of woman who waits for justice to come through the front door. The police, in her eyes, have failed too many times. Justice, if it ever came at all, has often been too little, too late. Reaching into her pocket, she pulled out Melinda Trask's handgun. The cold metal gleamed in her hand. It wasn't just a weapon. It was a symbol. A tool for justice, her version of it. Ava stared down at the weapon, her lips slowly curving into a smile. The decision was made. Later, she was seen aiming at a printed image from The Spectator, the article on EJ taped to the wall like a target. Her hands steady, her voice unwavering. This time, he won't get away with it. For Ava, this isn't just about vengeance. It's about taking back control in a town that has allowed too many villains to walk free. And if no one else will hold EJ accountable, then she will, no matter the cost. A grandson's anguish. Meanwhile, Johnny DiMera's emotional turmoil continued to unravel in Horton Square. As he waited for Chanel, his eyes held the weight of a recent heartbreak. The failed adoption had left a void in their lives, and Chanel's pain was written across her face. She admitted she wanted to get away, maybe take a drive to Chicago just to clear her head. Johnny, always supportive, suggested she do what she needed. But he too had unfinished business, a visit he owed his grandfather, Roman Brady. The conversation between Johnny and Roman was anything but light. Johnny sat at the bar, sharing his anger and sadness not only over the adoption but also the heavy truth Roman had confessed, the real story behind his conception. For Johnny, that betrayal cut deep. He felt deceived, and worse, he felt hate creeping into places he never thought it would, especially toward his own father, EJ. Roman, somber and introspective, listened closely. He didn't defend himself or the past. Instead, he offered a rare piece of wisdom from a man who has seen too much heartache. He acknowledged that sometimes anger doesn't fade, it simply shifts shape. "You may never forgive," he told Johnny, "but maybe in time you'll understand." Yet Roman, always the man of steady principle, revealed something darker, a shadow lurking in his conscience. "There's a part of him," he admitted, "that still wants revenge. A part that wants to pick up a gun and make EJ pay for all he's done." Johnny was stunned. He asked if Roman really had a weapon behind the bar. Roman confirmed it with a weary nod. Of course he did. Kept it hidden away from the kids, he said. Just like EJ did. Roman's eyes reflected years of pain, not just about EJ, but the choices they've all made and the irreversible consequences they've left behind. Roman then asked if Johnny had spoken with his mother, Sammy. But Johnny revealed that she had been avoiding him. Even in the middle of this family storm, there's distance, silence, and wounds that have yet to heal. And then, just as Roman tried to offer some solace, Ava stormed outside, her face determined, her presence fierce. Roman watched her with wary curiosity. "I know a woman on a mission when I see one," he muttered under his breath. Danger in the air, the tension in Salem is palpable. Ava's calculated determination is no longer silent. She's on the move. And Roman, once the town's calm and rational center, is quietly holding onto a gun and the temptation of justice by his own hand. Johnny, caught in the middle, is drowning in heartbreak, betrayal, and rage, and trying to keep it all together before he spirals. But if the storm brewing inside Ava and Roman ever collides, the result could be explosive. Both of them are carrying secrets, pain, and dangerous tools, and EJ DiMera is at the center of their fury. Salem has always been a town of secrets, but now those secrets are turning into weapons. Guns are being loaded. Forgiveness is a distant dream. And justice, it seems, may soon come from the shadows, not the courthouse. As Ava steps further down the path of no return and Roman silently struggles with the same urge, viewers are left wondering, will either of them pull the trigger? Or will someone else pay the price for EJ's sins? Stay tuned, because in Salem, revenge doesn't knock. It kicks the door in.